War Eagle War Rapport family, I'm your host, C-Dub. Auburn suffers a very tough loss yesterday at the hands of Georgia. Fellas are here to discuss that and more on the latest edition of the Weekend Tailgate.
You are now listening to a War Rapport Weekend Tailgate, brought to you by
Athletic Architect.
It's your boy, I Jones. Be Will, C-Dog, Mike G. Get ready, sit on back as we bring you the War Rapport Weekend Tailgate.
War Eagle, everyone. War Eagle, welcome to the latest edition of the Weekend Tailgate, brought to you by show sponsor Athletic Architects. If you are a student athlete, related to a student athlete, or you're looking to start your own LLC, you need to go visit buildthehouse.com to begin planning your financial future today. Shouts out to Athletic Architects for sponsoring the Weekend Tailgate and being a supporter and sponsor of the War Rapport. We want to thank you guys also for hanging out with us on this Sunday afternoon. Guys, you can help us out whether you're watching live or on replay. You can help us out by sharing this video if you're on social media. That is Facebook and Twitter. Use the hashtag #GetYourWeightUp. Help people to find our content and join in on the conversation. Help us grow our community. While you're here, do us a favor and help our engagement up by smashing that like button, guys. Also, if you're new to our channel, please be sure to subscribe to our channel as well. You can also support us monetarily. One of those ways is by becoming a patron. I can tell you how to do exactly that.
All you got to do really is just click that join button, and then you can. I don't know how much you really want to rewatch this game. I'm going to rewatch it, and I'm going to break it down regardless of whether you want to see it again. But if you do want to possibly see that again and maybe feel better about some things or identify exactly the things that you hate with surety, then you can come watch the film with me tomorrow. $5.99 is what's going to get you to that patron level. If you want to be able to chat with us on game days, that's always an experience. You need to at least be a member, but come on board with the War Rapport family and help us continue to grow and do things that we love to do for Auburn athletics. You can gift a membership if you are already a member. Right down there in the chat, if you're on a computer, you can hit that link that looks like a little gift box, and you can gift a membership to someone else, and they'll be able to enjoy the insider perks that you all are currently enjoying, or the membership perks, I should say. Got to stop saying insider because then people think you're, doing tabloid leaks, which is not what we're doing over on our stuff. But yeah. But you can do that for someone. You can gift up to, I think, like 20 memberships or something. But you can definitely help some other people get a free month on you. We're going to give away another one of these War Rapport mugs today, courtesy of GWT2 Energy Consulting Services. All you need to do is hashtag Get Your Weight Up right there in the chat. And you can be a part of the giveaway drawing. You have to be present to win, but you can hashtag Get Your Weight Up. And we'll be doing that drawing right around the 1 hour mark.
Gentlemen, let's go ahead and get into it. Tough game yesterday for Auburn. Me and B. Will was on the post game, sharing our thoughts, allowing people to vent. It was tough, but here we are a day later discussing the game. General, just open thoughts before we get into the different facets of the game. We'll start off with defense first, but let's talk about just kind of how we feeling the day after. Ike, I'll start with you. You was actually there in person to cover the game. Not the best road trip you've taken this year, but your thoughts, sir?
I think that Auburn, and I said this last week, I'll say it again, Auburn's just not a very good football team right now, man. Just not a very good football team. When we have opportunity, I watch a lot of other content channels for various teams. And one of the things that I heard a guy say that is 100% true when he was breaking down some stuff is he says that good teams are able to stack good plays on good plays, right? Like you do something good and then you get another good thing and it's momentum, right? Like, so you continue to stack a good play on good play. Bad teams do the opposite. They stack bad on bad. So we talk about this before, like we'll have a play where it was almost something good where we'll like break a run and then it'll be a penalty that'll bring it back, or a drop on a thing that would have been a conversion, or something like that bad happens. And then something even worse happens after that. And it was like, well, if we had had the good thing that had happened before that, this bad play never would have even been there. So like we get down here and we have all of these pre-snap penalties, right? And so it puts us in first and long, right? You're not even in, third and long, you're in first and long. So now you have even further to try to make it third and short, or you get to third and short and you have a pre-snap penalty, or you break through the line of scrimmage and you fumble, right? Like there's just, we stack bad on bad, and it is a cumulative, terrible outcome. And it's even worse when you play really good teams, right? So you can't do that stuff against bad teams in hopes to win, because you'll make it a lot closer than you need to. You definitely can't do it versus good teams because they're going to take advantage of it. So it was disappointing to see us stack bad on bad consistently throughout this game. And that was a tough watch.
B, any additional thoughts, man, on this afternoon, the day after?
No.
Are you at peace?
I mean, it's a little disappointing. I know I used to say that. No, I'm at peace with where we're at. That was, I think, coming on the end of we were trying to get rid of Gus mentally a couple years. I was trying to get rid of Gus mentally with my energy a couple years before he was gone. So I was definitely at peace with us being a subpar team. Then Harsin's first year, I knew it wasn't going to be great, so had some high hopes. I was at peace with the effort that we put forth in year one. Now this isn't peace. This isn't peace. If you expected improvement, which is really all I wanted to see this year, I want to see us look better at several positions all off season. We just thought about what it would take for us to be a better team in the win column. And really, we marginal improvement here, 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 and here. And we've really rolled backwards in just about every category, except maybe some defensive statistics. I think our overall secondary is better. I don't think that there is a Roger McCreary in the secondary, but our overall secondary, I think, is stronger. Our defensive line is just as good, maybe around the same, and we're probably worse at linebacker. But our overall defense is still, man, like we're solid, but we didn't improve. Not with the runs that we give up. Not with how we play the run game. We didn't improve. We didn't improve anywhere on offense except for maybe the talent in the wide receiver room. But all that has to go through the quarterback, and offensive line play is bad enough. Quarterback is inexperienced enough, mistake prone enough. No matter who's been in the game for us at quarterback, that we're not better. And that's why I'm not at peace. I would be at peace if I was seeing improvement and we were coming up with L's, but I saw improvement from week to week and year over year. But I don't see it, man. I don't see it. So I'm not at peace. I'm just disappointed.
Yeah, I would echo that too. I'm disappointed because this is game 6. We're halfway through the season.
Yeah.
And you have to begin to see some progress towards the trajectory of improvement to say, hey, we're getting better as a team. And it still looks like we're trying to find our way while losing guys in the process. This has been a very injury-riddled season. At quarterback, we saw a lot of it at line. Was very alarmed when I saw it starting to happen towards our defensive line or our edge rushers. That began to give me some concern. I don't know how we continue. I don't know how much tape and plugging in and fixing stuff along this journey we can continue to do to actually show real improvement against teams like Georgia moving forward. So yes, I'm very disappointed and concerned as well. Let's go ahead and take a look at, let's talk about the defense. That was pretty much the bright spot on the day. Let's talk about how they performed. 70 total tackles, 1 sack, that ended up leading towards a turnover. They had 3 tackles for loss. Overall on the day, the defense gave up 500 yards. That consisted of 208 yards through the air, but 292 yards on the ground, which was very disappointing. Caused 2 fumbles, was able to recover 1. The defense, we'll talk about this a little bit later. As good as the defense was, they were on the field for a total of 35 minutes and 29 seconds. Kind of tough on the road to continue to play at a high level and restrict the opposing team's offense when you're on the field that much. Your thoughts, Ike, about the defense? Let's talk about what you liked about the defense in this game on yesterday.
I liked everything we did in the first half. First half defense was good. They got put in an unfortunate scenario with that 4th down call. But outside of that, I feel like our defense played well, and they did everything they could to keep us in this game and give us opportunities to try to flip the field early, because that was the big thing. The offense wasn't moving the ball particularly well, and we needed a change of field position. And the defense was doing its job, man. We could have played better for sure, but the defense was doing its job. Second half defense, oh man, as soon as Stetson Bennett hit that long run, I was like, oh, that just broke them. The defense just did not. I think it killed their spirits after that, because the defense just did not look the same. They looked frustrated play to play after that. We started cycling in a lot of different guys after that. You saw Derek Hall come out of the game. It unraveled really quickly in the second half. Like, it went from, okay, we got a chance, but the offense really isn't doing anything, to this is bad.
Yeah,
this is bad.
Yeah. Even in the third quarter, I mean, they still gave up. They gave up just 1 score. Georgia methodically went down the field, but I would say for 3 quarters, they played about as well as you can ask them to, considering under the circumstances. I think the bottom fell out in the 4th quarter.
Yeah.
For sure. B, what were some of the things that you saw that you actually liked about the Auburn defense? Players that stood out. I was impressed. I was impressed with our secondary at times in this game, for sure. But what were some things you liked?
Our secondary, for sure. Our secondary is really good. I'm fighting on whether to call them great, because I mean, we don't. The thing that would make them great is if they turn the ball over consistently, and we're not quite there yet. But DJ James, it's like he just jumps in somebody's pocket at the snap, man. He is just on them, and you're gonna have to really beat him with a miraculous throw, and most times quarterbacks can't do it. And we weren't caught lacking like we were last year against Georgia, where we gave up a lot of big busts. Our secondary was in there. Now, again, late in the game, that run started. They started leaning on us with the run. Then, I mean, you get what happens when you have to account for the run too much is, a couple of busts, and then that happens, and they get over your head a little bit. But we kept them in check. The secondary is so good, though. Like, Donovan Kaufman back there between coverage and run support, he's a good tackler. He's in the right place at the right time. Such a huge pickup, and I'm glad that we're playing really well on the back end. I wonder how if there is a answer at linebacker other than you have to let Riley and Steiner just grow up. I think you have to let them grow up. Papo, I don't know if he should be. Should he have his hand on the ground? Should he be just like what was his name? Was it Cam Chancellor that played in Seattle Legion of Boom?
Mm-hmm.
Like a really big outside linebacker that moved to safety because he had the speed to do it. Because if you're that guy, you got the speed to get down to the box that quick, then you're great. But also, if you're not a great tackler, then you can't play safety. And I don't know what you do with Papo out at this point, man. It's really hard to say, hey, here's a guy who's been on your team for 4 years and put him on the bench. He's a captain, and he's been all about Auburn and never once thought about leaving. Put him on the bench. But if we're being honest and objective with what we're seeing from these players on the defense, it looks like Papo's a liability out there, and I don't want that to be the case. I don't want that to be. Now, at this point in the season, I don't know how much more you have to lose by not taking him off the field. I mean, I'm not a coach, so I'm not telling you what the coaches should be thinking, but Does he play through it and just try to maximize his potential as he leaves Auburn and goes to the next level and try to really just make every week a learning experience for him? I don't know. I don't know what the answer is there, but linebacker is the one place. And now we're getting thin on the defensive line. Eku's out. So now how serious was the Derek Hall injury? Post game, Ike told us he was in there in the post game, and Derek Hall said, "Yeah, I'm good. I'm good." Are you good? I mean, are you going to be able to get back out there and play like Derek Hall plays for the next game? Because we're going to be right back on the road against a team that likes to run the ball. You're going to be chasing down some ball carriers wide. You're going to have to secure that edge. And, you lean out, especially if it's an upper body injury. You do some leaning, some stretching, and you're not 100%. Man, you can hurt something. And now I'm getting worried about depth on that defensive line. I saw Mba out there, which was good. I know he needed to be out there because we had some people come off the line, but I'm encouraged by the defense. We're really just like tweaking and fine tuning what could be better about the defense, but the defense is not the issue. They gave us every opportunity to win that game. If you're telling me that a defense gives up what they had given up through 2.5 quarters, really for the number of drives that they were out there, because that's really how we should be evaluating these games. If the other team's going to get 12 drives a game, then you're not going to win. It don't matter what your defense does. But if you can limit that, you know what I'm saying? I don't know if 12 is the exact average number, but y'all get what I'm saying. You give them too many possessions, too many tries, too many cracks at it, and eventually you're going to bust. And that's what happened to the defense. I hate for them to be in that position. Physically, that is when injuries start happening. That's when those start piling up because they've been out there too long and they're hurting and they're tired. But I don't have any big complaints about the defense, man. They're getting the job done.
Is there any concern? There were times where we did give up some chunk plays on the ground. I'm not going to really talk about Stetson Bennett's run. That was in the fourth quarter. Again, the bottom fell out. But there were times throughout the first 3 quarters that but Georgia was able to get some chunk plays, some big runs on the ground. Is that a concern next week going on the road against Ole Miss, who likes to use tempo?
Yes. Point blank period. Yes. It's an absolute concern. If you're thin and you're not going to be allowed to rotate versus tempo, that means you've got to get them off the field 3 and out. But that's only a win for a few quarters because eventually you're not going to continue to be able to force 3 and outs without the other team screwing up.
Right.
Yeah.
So if our strategy is hopefully they screw up so we can get some points, that is not how you win football games. You've got to force turnovers, which we haven't done particularly well. We did force a turnover in this game, or your offense has to be able to maintain possessions to give your defense a rest. Like that's it. Like 3 and outs are absolutely wonderful if the other team is just not good. When the other team is good, you're not going to just keep forcing 3 and outs. You're just not. So you have to either force a turnover or your offense has to produce something so your defense gets a rest.
Super chat here. Cam says C-Dub should be our next head coach. I've heard how you guys talk about head coaches at Auburn. I will decline that. Except if it's for a nice salary, then I will take all the hate that you could potentially throw at me, but I don't want those problems.
And
I love Auburn way too much.
There is a huge problem right there, is because there are other people who think exactly like what you just said. I've seen how head coaches get treated down there. Nah, I'm good.
Right. The people that I thought played an amazing game on defense, Donovan Kaufman.
Yes, baller.
He played well. DJ James played well. Again,
yes.
I was pleased with how he played. Up front, man, I'm so glad our boy came back. I am so glad that we have Kobe Wooden on this team, on this defense, because he played an amazing. I was pleased with him in this game. Though those are some people who stood out on defense to where I'm happy for that. Our defense just hasn't bottomed out in the beginning of the game, right? These guys have been playing hard, but again, to Ike's point, you can't expect them to play 4 quarters when you're not giving them anything on the offensive end, and you're putting them in bad situations. Like I can't even be mad at the two touchdowns that was scored in the first half, because again, other facets of the game led to them having a short field to defend. Let's talk about special teams real quick, and let's look at some of the stats regarding special teams. So we had, as far as kick returns, I don't think we had a punt return in this game.
Not a single one.
We had one kick return, one for 18 yards.
Keontae Scott fair caught every last one of them Jones, bro. He didn't even try to return any.
He was like, "You ain't finna get tattooed today, I guess." We
But
punted
he
the
did catch them
ball.
all. Well,
He
all
did.
of them that he attempted to field, he caught them all. So
Correct. He even had one that he kind of almost dove for. So we punted the ball 9 times for 402 yards. Carlson did make a 29-yarder after we were able to secure the fumble early in the second half. But the story of the game is pretty much the missed opportunity where we tried to go for it, the fake punt, as well as the poor coverage that led to McConkey returning it deep into our own territory late in the second quarter. That's pretty much the story of our special teams in terms of its performance. Everything else was rather uneventful.
Yeah.
Thoughts about special teams, gentlemen? I'll start with you, right?
yeah, I mean, you said the two things that were the most eventful and the most impactful on the game, I think, were the fourth down call, and I'll go to the fake punt second. I'll do the McConkey return first. McConkey tried to get a little jazzy on him, man. He was stepping around tackles, and he did his thing on that return. After having a muffed punt earlier in the game, he came back and he redeemed himself with a nice return on that one. So I can't be super upset at that. It's and we've been pretty good in kick coverage, but we had that bust that time. But let's talk about this fake punt. So Coach Harsin said in the post-game presser that they had the look that they wanted to, and they checked on it, right? So and you could see they looked to the sideline, and the team was basically like, "Oh, yo, y'all remember? Y'all said if we get this look, we can fake it." Everybody looked over and was like, "Do we do it?" And Coach was like, "Yeah, run it." And it was there. They missed one block. And that's the guy who made the tackle. Having said all of that, yes, you got the right look. Yes, it was there. You just needed to secure the block. I think it was a terrible time in both the game, way too early in the game, and in field position to make that call, even though it was there. I think that's something that you save for later to say, hey, we saw it earlier. Let's see if we see it again in a position where you need a change in momentum. I don't think you needed a change in momentum that early in the game because your defense was playing so well. Flip the field and let your defense try to get you the ball back in better field position. I did not like that call at all. It was shades of the South Carolina fourth down call that we went for last year for me, where it was just like, I don't mind you being aggressive. I don't think that this was the time in the game nor the field position to make that call. If we had been at the 45, okay, at our own 45, meaning not in plus territory, but at our own 45, maybe, right? Like that's in a gray area, but I mean, you had to get like 7 yards on it. And it was like, if it had been, maybe a shorter distance, better call. But it just, there was nothing about that to me said that was the time and place to make that call. And I think that cost us early. Now, having said all that, we'd be having a much different conversation about that had we lost the game by 7 points or less.
Right.
So in the grand scheme of things, it didn't kill the game. Like, you can kill the coach for that bad decision, and he absolutely deserves some blame for a poor decision in that spot. But that's not what cost us this game.
Right.
But yeah, I didn't like that call in that time or field position at all.
And we can elaborate more on the decision when we talk about coaching. B. Will, your thoughts about special teams in this game? Any thoughts? I saw where Corey Dub was like, we need to, or someone put in the comments, we need to show some love to our punter. I think we show our punter love just about every game because we use him a lot.
Show him a little bit too much love. He needs to take
right.
the game
Absolutely.
off at some
Absolutely.
point in time.
Absolutely. He needs to have a quiet game. But your thoughts on special teams?
Special teams, they did what they were supposed to do. You know, the special teams call that we all disagreed with wasn't routine special teams. It was a coaching decision. And again, it was a missed block. I'm wondering now with us missing blocks is not just this rare thing. We're missing them on offense. We're missing them on special teams. I said this for the last few weeks. It's like, we're not a very good team right now. And as much as we want to believe that we've had some potential, some chances to play better in some games and to win a game like the LSU game, which was obviously winnable. But similar to what he noted earlier, good teams stack good on good and bad teams seem to find a way to get in their own way. The LSU game was riddled with us making mistakes where we were the reason that a drive stalled, where we were the reason that the other team got points. And in a similar fashion, I'm seeing this is a pattern for us. This is a pattern for us, and we're not good. And I know you asked about special teams, but I'm trying to think back to what the cause is. Is it the guys that you have or that you don't have? Is it coaching? Is it buy-in? And I'm having a hard time pinpointing it because I see effort. So I see effort. So I don't think it's buy-in because I see effort.
Right.
If it was effort, then you would see it in the body language, and it wouldn't take getting down 20 points before you started seeing it. It would be almost immediately. Like they go out there kind of going through the motions, and you drop a pass, it's jog back with your head down to the line of scrimmage and get back in position and line up. But it's like you're just kind of going through the motions. But that's not what we're seeing. Like, people are trying their best to do what they're asked to do, but the execution has been so poor that I'm wondering, is this what y'all do in practice? Like, do you execute this poorly in practice and still get on the field? Or do you execute well in practice and then you just execute very poorly in the game?
That's that's the question that I asked Coach Arson in the post-game presser. I was like, how would you gauge your week of practice leading up to this game? Because it seems as if the issue on game day is focus and execution. It's not, I don't think we came into this game with a poor game plan, right? Like, I don't think game planning was the issue,
right?
But you can't game plan, or like there's not much of a game plan that's going to work when you have offensive linemen, and we haven't talked about the offense yet, but offensive linemen that are just not blocking anybody. There's not much of a game plan that's going to work when you're being penalized pre-snap, right? Not like post-snap, I held on a little too long. Like, it's not lining up properly, not snapping like there was one play, and we ain't talked about the offense yet. It's not a game plan issue, though. Yesterday, at least, wasn't a game plan issue. Yesterday was a team that looked overwhelmed.
Yes.
Mentally overwhelmed, not physically, mentally overwhelmed and ill-prepared to come in and play. And I don't know if that says the coaches didn't do an adequate job of preparing, but like, how do you prepare somebody to not false start?
One of the things that I mentioned before we get to the break is, and B, you remember when I said this in the pregame, this is the first road test for Auburn. We were very pleasantly surprised with how composed Auburn looked a year ago on the road against Penn State.
Yes.
The question would be, in year two, I would expect more of the same. There's more buy-in. A lot of these guys have been here before, but we looked yesterday what I could have expected would have happened a year ago in year one under this coaching staff. How we managed to revert to what we saw yesterday is astonishing to me.
Yeah.
And again, that's it goes back to the concerns. I mean, obviously, we're seeing that this is not a good team, but the lack of composure was astonishing to me in some aspects. And I'm not even talking about younger guys. There were veterans who didn't have. There were veterans who were having false starts.
Right.
Derek Hall
So
had a few
offsides.
offsides calls.
This is a question that I had. Ed Darby says this: focus and not knowing what their assignment is the problem. Do we believe players are holding each other accountable? I don't know the answer to that. I wish that I could get into the mind, because getting mad and yelling at somebody is not the same thing as accountability.
Right.
And
Right.
I'm gonna say this, and I know some people gonna say I'm just hating. Who you have as team captains have to be the people who are there to make sure your ship isn't sinking. And I don't know that we have leadership in the locker room on this team. I don't know that. I'm not saying we don't, because I believe that Derek Hall gives his absolute all out there on the field. And I think he's a lead by example kind of guy.
Right.
But who are the vocal leaders on this team? Because this is one thing that I've made a point to do, because if you guys don't know, I've been going to every game so far except San Jose State. It's the only game I haven't been to, though. I try to, during timeouts or when possession changes, look at the sideline and see who's talking, how are they talking. And what I don't see a lot of is guys out there talking about what they need to do to get better between the things. And that there's a couple of levels of where that's a problem for me in situations. It seems like the energy is really good when things are going well, but it's particularly when it's not going well. I don't see a lot of people trying to get it right. I see a lot of upset faces. I see a lot of frustration. So I know they care, but I don't know where the leaders are on this team. And again, I get somebody gonna clip a portion of me saying that and say I'm questioning Auburn. And listen, it is what it is, man. You can be mad about what I observed.
Right.
I didn't see a lot of it.
Yeah.
So I just wonder why that's the case. Maybe I just missed it, right? Because I can't watch the sideline for the entirety of the game. But I think that's missing right now on the sideline.
Guys, we want to hear from you, whether you're watching live on replay. We want to hear your thoughts, comments about special teams as well as defense, what you like, what you didn't like. Let us know in the comments, especially those of you watching on replay. Be sure to share this video, guys, on social media. Use the hashtag as you see. And guys, don't just be lurking. Smash the like button if you're watching, guys. Also, subscribe if you are new to the channel. We'll pause to take a break real quick to acknowledge the sponsors of the War Rapport.
This edition of the War Rapport is made possible by our generous sponsors. AuburnSports.com. For news and notes on all things Auburn Sports, head over to AuburnSports.com. Athletic Architects. For young athletes looking to secure their financial futures, let Athletic Architects help you start to build your financial house. Head over to BuildTheHouse.com. And our giveaway sponsor, GWT2 Energy Consulting Services. If you want the best in the business at restaurant logistics, check out our friends at GWT2Energy.com.
Yes, definitely. Special thanks to all the sponsors of the War Rapport. You can sponsor in your own way by becoming a member of the War Rapport. I know it's tough to have to live through all of this stuff, man, but if we got to do it, y'all got to too. No, I'm just kidding. We're definitely going to keep going regardless, but we do hope you guys stick around with us. I know some people are like, man, I ain't finna watch that jump, man. I'm ready for basketball season. We're ready for basketball season too, but we're not going away during basketball season. So stay on board with us. $5.99 per month gets you to the place where you can watch film with us. $3.99 gets you to the supporter level, and that gets you the the halftime and post-game chat access. And we're going to start trying to do some other stuff for our members as well as we get into later into the season and into basketball season. If you want to gift a membership, make sure that you do that. You can do it right there from the live chat. Just click on the little gift box, and YouTube randomly assigns these gifted memberships to someone else. But if you are a member and you want to purchase the first month of membership for someone else, you can do that right now in the YouTube live chat section. This show and every live show, we're giving away stuff. Hashtag get your weight up right there in the live chat if you want to be a part of the drawing that we'll be doing here in about 25 minutes or so. Sponsored by GWT2 Energy Consulting Services. We're giving away another War Rapport mug. So hashtag get your weight up in the comments. And again, you have to be present to win. So if you drop the hashtag and you leave, I can't do anything for you. I'm gonna just have to redraw it, but we're definitely going to give that away here coming up soon.
Guys, let's kind of pick up where we left off. We're still kind of giving a review of the game. We've talked about the defense. We've talked about special teams. Let's talk offense. Perhaps one of the sore spots of the game, if not the biggest sore spot of the game. Let's look at the stats here. On offense on yesterday, Auburn went for a total of 13 of 38 attempts passing for a total of 165 yards. 1 touchdown. That was due to a reception pass to Jarquez Hunter that he made an amazing play and was able to run down the sidelines for a score. Rushing yards, we had 25 attempts for 93 yards, which I believe Georgia coming into this game was already giving up under 100 yards rushing. I think we exceeded that maybe by 4 yards in that game. 2 fumbles, like Georgia, 2 fumbles, and we gave up 1. That was the fumble that Ashford had late in the second quarter. The offense was on the struggle bus much of this game. Guys, I'll start with you, B. Will. We've already kind of talked about it, but I think the only positive that I can think of really in this game was Jarquez. For the most part, but what were some things that stood out to you now that we're the day after this game? What are some things that stood out to you offensively on yesterday?
Just how bad the offensive line looked. It's very clear at this point that the offensive line was very mediocre last year, and they're worse this year. I don't know how much of it to attribute to Nick Brom's medical retirement. I don't know if one player could have made that much of a difference. We know we lost 2 other players off that offensive line. I think it was Manning and whoever went to Kentucky. I can't remember his name at the moment. Forgive me. But so we know we lost something. They tried a new alignment. They tried Tate Johnson at center and Troxler at right tackle. And we got Stutz in there at guard. And whatever it is, this alignment isn't working. And on top of this alignment not working, these guys are hurt. So we're not just down 1 or 2 guys, but we had somebody with a bunch of experience who had played a bunch of snaps stepping in behind them. No, we're down to the very bottom of our depth. Like we're scraping the bottom of O-line depth. And the issue is it's no longer just physically are you good enough? It's mentally, do you even know what you're looking at out there? Like that's where we're at. We're at that place where you might not be that good and you don't know what you're doing. And that's a recipe for disaster in any job, at any place, at any time. You just haven't seen it enough. When you have people just standing and getting blown by like that, now we're past this line isn't good enough. We're playing outside, or like we shouldn't even be on the field. Those guys, if they don't know who to block when the ball is snapped consistently, those guys shouldn't be on the field. But if that's all that we have now, that's what our offense is going to look like. It's going to look like, what was that little thing that, and I still hated it, but when Gus used to do it and the center would snap the ball and the offensive line would move.
Right.
We might as well do that. That's essentially what, that's essentially what's going on out there. It needs to be 7-on-7 for the offense, but 11-on-7 for the defense. And the offense needs to understand, you go out here, you snap that ball, you're on your own, buddy. So good luck, because that's what it looked like yesterday. So the question is, can anything get better? Probably not. Not when you have injuries like this. Injuries, experience, we're lacking. And it's probably going to be this bad. The only thing that you can hope for is that you play somebody who is poor enough. I'm circling Arkansas. I'm still circling A&M. And I don't know how much I believe about Mississippi State. Yeah, we have to wait till we get there. But yeah, man, we down bad, man. We down bad in the worst of ways. We are down bad.
I'm gonna grab some super chats real quick before I get to your thoughts, Ike, on offense. Ben Bloodworth says, which would lead to the most success, replacing the coaches and keeping our current roster, or reloading the roster and keeping the coaches?
Wait, do you mean at the end of the year? Is assuming Ben, you mean at once the year is done, which one is the best option? Because there's a lot of talk about changing before then, and I don't know why people think that's a difference, because you'd have the same old line between now and the end of the year. So I don't really know what would be too different there. But I think if you want to completely undo the momentum of the team, then a coaching change is the easiest way to do that. That doesn't mean that it's the best decision necessarily, because you can get a coaching bad. You know, ever hear pros talking about, well, we just needed a new voice in the locker room. Yeah, okay, so you were tired of the old coach. The Eagles decided that Andy Reid needed to go because his voice in that locker room for too long it had grown stale. But Andy Reid was a good coach, so they went to Chip Kelly, by the way. He's a new voice. Did that make him a better coach? Okay. He did okay. I mean, he wasn't bad, but Andy Reid, now granted, Andy Reid inherited, well, they chose Patrick Mahomes, so that makes a difference. But Andy Reid never lacked the skills to get it done as a head coach. Right. But you fully turn the page, it's not working, a new coach, and then everybody feels differently. And that's really what it is. Everybody feels differently. If you were down on Auburn and you had them off your radar as a recruit, then, well, they changed coaches. Okay, well, let me hear what this guy had to talk about. And it's not that you were even sour on the last guy. It's like they weren't going anywhere. They were playing poorly. They were losing most of their games. So I have a reason to check back into Auburn if they change coaches. The fans have a reason to check back in, because we know from the momentum that we gather, I mean, people were down on us after our 2019 ending and the 2020 year. And then when the coaching change happened, the momentum and the interest picked up. That's how our channel really got going, is because change of coach. Now I'm back interested. Now casual fans want to know what's going on. All the hardcore fans, who are we going to get? That's the quickest way to turn around the interest in your program. It's a chance for people to look at you, get reinvested, and you have a chance to kind of sell yourself all over again with a new head coach. I think that's probably the quickest way to recover, because we are so down in so many areas that it feels like we need a jolt. We need a what's it called? The medical things where they rub them together and shock you.
Yeah,
can't think of the word. Defibrillator pads.
There we go. We need defib. We need that. That's what's happening, because the talent differential in a couple of positions is way too bad to ignore. It's not just maybe we can build it back. We were going to see that this year. Maybe they'll just improve a little bit, and then we could. They didn't. It got worse. So we need something different now.
Nicholas Frazier says exploring an NIL collective to recruit O linemen.
It'll help.
We may need to work. We may need to work together as a. While we're complaining, we need to put some dollars together to come up with something for linemen for sure.
Yeah,
that will help. Ike, let's get to you, man. Let's talk about offense. You bit your tongue the first half hour when you start talking about offense. It's your time to talk offense now, and you seem even more excited. Thoughts about offense.
In the illustrious words of Auburn great Charles Barkley, terrible. There was not much. Okay, so let me start with the things that were actually good before I go into the things that were bad, because the bad things are pretty self-evident, right? Offensive line play. Okay, let's start about good. I didn't hate what we wanted to do strategically, offensively. I didn't hate it. I just think that your game plan gets blown up when you have the pre-snap penalties.
Right.
I didn't hate what Robbie Ashford was doing when he had time to throw. What I hated, and yeah, that's about it. That's about it. Yeah. I disliked everything about what we did on that offensive line. Everything that we did on the offensive line was bad. Like, I haven't watched the film yet, but I think I would struggle to put together 2 consecutive plays where the offensive line played well. 2 consecutive plays. And that's, I don't know how you win a football game when you can't play, except for the one, oh my God, the one drive where we looked competent on offense. And Robbie had the first down. Like he was going to get the first down. He was going to get the first down easy. Like it was not going to be a question whether or not he was going to make first down yardage. And he fumbled the ball off his own leg. I don't know. I don't know what to say about this offense, man. Like we, as good as Georgia's defense is, we did this to ourselves more than Georgia did it to us. Like we weren't out there just getting physically dominated. There were literally plays where offensive line, like I thought somebody unplugged the controller on my man that one time, bro. Like he stood there and did not move the entirety of the play. Didn't see a guy run straight past him over his right shoulder, was looking the opposite direction. Feet weren't moving.
Talking about Alec Jackson?
Alec Jackson, yes. Arms weren't moving. He stood still the entire play and blocked nobody. Like I mean, to play that poorly, you almost have to wonder, is it on purpose? Like, are you purposefully not playing well? Like, I just don't know how you play that bad. Playing bad, having a couple of bad snaps. Keandre Jones, God bless him, fired off the line of scrimmage one time and fell face first. Didn't touch anybody. It's almost like somebody just pulled the chair from underneath him, and I don't understand how you can play that bad. It's one thing where you see a guy get pushed around, or oh man, he couldn't secure, he's trying to come do a reach block and he's not quick enough, or he gets beat off the edge like Austin Troxell has been all year, or things like that. But block nobody? Not just one time, multiple times throughout the game, untouched defenders. Not because we missed a blitz pickup, just nah, I'm good. Not on this play. Not on this play. I don't want to. I fundamentally, again, Georgia's a really good team. So I'm not saying that we would have won the game had they played better on offensive line. What I am saying is, can you give us a chance?
Yeah.
Last thing I'm going to say. I think Robbie Asper is super talented. I think he gives it everything he's got. He, at this point in time, he's not ready to be the starter. This is the reason why he didn't start the season. He is so conscious of the rush that there are times where he could have made a play with his arms, but because the rush was coming immediately, he got too conscious of it. I watched Malik Hooker play against LSU, and there was a play, free rusher coming straight up the A gap.
Hendon
Hooker, excuse me. I don't know where Malik Hooker came from. That's a freaking cornerback. Anyway, I watched Hendon Hooker play against LSU. Free rusher coming straight up the A gap. All I saw him do is do a little side step, let the guy run straight past him full speed, and then he took a step up in the pocket, and then he eventually decided to run after that. 2 guys up the A gap right in his face. He just calmly sidestepped both. And now Hendon Hooker's a 5th-year senior.
Right.
He's had time to get comfortable understanding that. What I'm saying is Robbie's not there yet. He's not there yet. And there were times where there were receivers open. There were opportunities for him to take. And he just couldn't see it because he was so cognizant of the rush. Now, again, you got to hope your offensive line plays better. But if your quarterback can handle that pressure a little bit better, you have opportunities to take advantage of Georgia being out of position. And we just did not have it. There was just nothing redeemable about this performance from the offense. We got the ball on that fumble, the 20-something yard line, right? Where did we recover that fumble? I have to go back and look at it.
It's about the
We got like 6 yards.
about 30 inside the 30. We were inside of 30.
We got like 6 yards that drive and ended up kicking a field goal. Your defense gets you the ball in plus territory, and you do nothing with it.
3 and out.
You're not gonna win a lot of games. Listen, somebody got to let Will Friend got to talk to some. We got to have a conversation, bro. We got Will Friend. We got to have a conversation. If you're not going to coach him up, you better have some people in the pipeline coming in next year. And I don't see either one of them. One of the two got to be true for you, my guy. Either you got to recruit some people who are going to come in and change the trajectory, or you got to make the guys who are there on the field play better. Why am I not seeing either? Why? Someone explain to me why neither of those two things are happening. I don't think you have to be amazing at both of them, but can you get one of the two right?
Yeah.
I don't know Will Friend personally. Maybe he's a great guy. Has the college football game gotten past him now, where he's incapable of relating to the younger players to recruit them well? And from an X and O standpoint, or from a fundamental standpoint, he can't coach it well. Because again, one of those two things needs to be true. So, okay, maybe he's not an X's and O's guy, but can you at least go recruit some talent so that when you're not doing the fundamental stuff great, the guys just have enough talent to play better? I don't know, man. Somebody got to explain that to me.
Yeah. Let me grab some super chats real quick. Gentlemen, Philip Coleman, appreciate the super chat. He says, I see why Keysau didn't want the offensive coordinator job at first. Actually, that's not correct. Harsin didn't want Keysau. That was not his first choice.
Both of them are actually true, but I don't think Eric Keysau is equipped to do this job.
He's not.
And that's not, and you know, people are going to say that's a ding on. I think if Brian Harsin could go out right now and hire a new offensive coordinator and demote Eric Keysau back to an analyst, he would do it today.
Yeah.
The question I have to ask myself, is there anybody better equipped to call plays on this staff, and he does it anyway? Do you just let somebody else who is a decent play? But who on this? I mean, Hartline, I think, is the only other person on the Auburn staff that's ever called plays before, besides Brian Harsin himself.
Yeah.
As far as on the field coaches, yeah. As far as on the field, I think offline they had. I think he's actually gone now. There was an analyst who was an OC for a smaller school. I don't know if he's still with Auburn.
No, he's not. He's gone. Okay. I can't remember what his name is right now, but yes, you're correct.
So, yeah. I mean, Keysau was never playing. He was never
play
playing.
Calling wasn't the issue today or yesterday. That's not the issue that I have with this team. My issue is the offensive line ain't blocking nobody.
Yeah.
Wide receivers are open. They're catching the ball 9 times out of 10 when it gets thrown in their direction. Shed had one drop that I thought was like, you got to catch that one, bro. Yeah. Wasn't the best throw in the world, but it was low and it hit him in the hand. He got to catch it, right? Like you need to make plays like that against the number 2 team in the country.
Coy Moore dropped a pass.
Right. Like you like the Coy Moore one was a little bit worse to throw, but still you need to be able to come down with stuff like that when you have to get plays. The issue is the offensive line was terrible. And by virtue of that, you have a quarterback who can't deal with pressure well. He just doesn't deal with pressure well. He did it better against LSU. He did not do a great job of that again. He doesn't make tight window throws against pressure well. Let me say that. The LSU plays that he made, the guys were running wide open. Right. And that's still good that he kept his eyes downfield and hit a wide open receiver. So I'm not discounting that. It's I've got to take a hit on this one. I have to stand in here. I have to deliver and take a hit to make this completion. Those are the ones we don't have right now at quarterback. And again, this is the reason why everybody was so excited about Zach Calzada. They were like, we know he gonna stand in there and take fire. We saw him get abused at Texas A&M and make some great throws. You know, the trade-off of that was, you know, he's going to throw it to the other team a couple of times too, right?
Right.
We don't have it right now offensively. We don't.
Right. Right. Corey Weber says Corey has already transitioned to basketball. Who starts at the 4, Jalen or Traore? And why?
Who starts the season? I think Jalen starts the season. I think eventually Johan will. I'm saying that today. I don't know how they've been practicing right now. But I can say this because we have recorded the interview. We did just finish a building rapport with Marquise Daniels. So we did talk to him a little bit about the upcoming season. So that's going to be dropping very soon for you guys. So, you know, we're in basketball mode as well, but we kind of have to do both. So
Blake Slaughter says, did y'all see Robbie scream at the O-line to effing block somebody? I hate that they pushed him to the point where he exploded. He didn't have time to let the play get started at all.
Yeah. This will be what is a similar situation to what Bo was in last year when he was frustrated at the offensive line playing at times. And I mean, I didn't get the all world leadership, you know, vibes from him either, but this is the concerns with starting somebody who has never started before, with not only what happens when they aren't equipped to play their best yet because they just started playing, but also emotionally and mentally. I feel like Robbie probably put a lot on himself, trying to prove to himself and everybody else that he, number one, belongs on this level at the SEC, that he belongs being a starting quarterback for a major program. And he wants more than anything for his ability to be taken note of. And he knows how dependent he is on that offensive line, and he can't be his best.
Yeah.
If that offensive line is playing, nobody, like we're asking about Will Friend and we're asking about Robbie, and with an offensive line this bad, we will be a terrible team. The defense will do what they can for a little while. They will eventually give out. The quarterback will understandably get jittery back there. Why? Because you get tattooed if I'm not paying attention. There is such a big difference between what you can do with a decent, well, let's say this. Last year's offensive line was not this bad. So let me make that distinction right there.
No,
this is a new type of terrible for offensive line play. We have set a new low here. So the duress that Bo Nix was under last year, it was not this. This was bad. This was very bad. This was very, very bad. Robbie Ashford is better equipped to deal with the rush because he's quicker and he's faster than Bo was. But this is way worse offensive line play. So the fact that he can't do much with it, I understand why he's frustrated.
Yeah.
This will be a learning point for Robbie Ashford. Now, it needs to become a positive eventually. These need to be the struggles that spring Auburn into some success going forward, similar to what 2012 was for 2013, or even similar to what, as we talked about, what 2003 was for 2004. You hit some lows, you discover yourself, you find a minute, and then you know what? You start putting it together once you've got some better talent and some coaching that fits. I want to say that fits the talent, because I still don't think there's anything you do with this offensive line. But this needs to be our basement right here. This needs to be what we're hearkening back to next year when we're in a fight for the division in November, and players are talking about, well, that was it. When we hit that low, we played at Georgia, we knew we had to come together and be better than that. Like, that's what this needs to be. And it needs to be that learning point for Robbie Ashford as well. Whether or not he was ready, he's here.
Yeah.
I saw a lot of players yesterday that didn't look like they were ready. Kentucky's new quarterback didn't look particularly ready. Arkansas's new quarterback looked okay, but he didn't look ready. And Bama's quarterback didn't look ready either. He put the ball on the ground twice, and they were in a dogfight for a game that they had the talent to dominate. When you're inexperienced, this is what happens. You give the ball up. You think too much. You make mistakes. So I'm not down on Robbie Ashford for that. Nobody can play around this line. Nobody. The difference between Arkansas and Kentucky and Bama and us is that we had the worst offensive line in the conference, and a quarterback that's trying to figure things out. And those guys had much better talent along the line in the case of Bama everywhere else than we do to make something and to pick up the quarterback's play when the offensive line may not be great. But we're in a hole, man. We're in a hole. I mean, we got to find a way to get ourselves out.
And I think that's why we were screaming the past few weeks that Ashford has to be the guy because of the O-line. Like you're forcing him into a situation because you, for the sake of the health of your other QBs, you cannot put them behind that O-line because at least Ashford can escape the pressure.
Yeah, I'd be scared to see what this looked like with TJ Finley back there, bro.
Right.
I mean, I don't know that TJ Finley has a prayer if the blocking is going to be like it was yesterday.
Yeah.
No prayer. I mean, people were holding Garner. No shot. No shot.
Well, you already saw what Holden Garner did against Missouri. He was a deer in headlights.
No shot. You'd have been asking that young man to risk his life behind that offensive line, bro. Because it was so bad that I don't know that I've seen a game where an offensive line played that bad for the entirety of the game.
Yeah, for sure.
Again, and Georgia has a really good defense. So, I mean, they've got an opportunity to go out here and fix this against some of the not as great defenses. But I don't know. I don't know, man. Brandon Council, everybody's giving Brandon Council a lot of flack for what he said. My issue with Brandon Council is not what he said. My issue with Brandon Council is you're the center now. Where were you to galvanize the guys during the game to make sure we were getting it right? And I don't know. Again, I can't watch the sideline the entirety of the game. When the offense is out there, I'm watching the defense play. When the offense is out there, I can't watch the defense on the sideline and vice versa. So maybe he was over there getting in guys' ears and telling them what to do, this and that. But like somebody, and usually it's your center, has to get those guys together and figure it out. And I just didn't see no figuring. I ain't see it, bro.
Yeah, for sure. Well, listen, let's go ahead and get into our giveaway. We have a couple of more segments we want to tackle before we get out of here. But guys, we're giving away a War Rapport mug courtesy of GWT2 Energy Consulting Services. For a chance to enter to win, you already know what to do. Hashtag get your weight up in the comments. If you haven't done it now, maybe next live, because Ike is about to draw right now.
Only 48 people draw, but that's okay. We're going to get this mug to somebody. Courtesy of GWT2 Energy Consulting Services, Clint Murphy is our winner. Clint, let us know you're here if you want to get that there mug.
Yeah, please comment again to let us know you're here. Guys should be looking out for that in the comments section. Imani Smoot says, my national championship hopes were dashed yesterday. So now I want to see a lot more of our freshmen and sophomores. My U family, there's light at the end of the tunnel. It's hard now, but we'll be stronger for it. This is life.
Yeah, man. Listen, despite how terrible we looked, the season still isn't over with. And we still have an opportunity to go out there and win football games and finish strong. And even maybe get to a bowl. But it's got to look a lot better than this. It's got to look a lot better than this.
There has to be some changes made. We don't know what those changes look like, but something has to give for sure. Christy's husband, a.k.a. Stan, appreciate the super chat. He says Auburn was better under Doug Barfield. I've been hearing a lot of people say this. He went 29, 25, and 1. 2 wins were forfeits awarded later. We're now worse than that. Hashtag fact.
I didn't even know. I never heard Doug Barfield's name.
Oh
yeah. I've heard a lot of people talk about Doug Barfield. I have. Clint Murphy says not gone, so he is here. Well, here's what we need you to do, sir. Congratulations, by the way. We need you to email us business@thewar rapport. We need your physical address please send that to us, and your mug will be in the mail on your way. And congratulations, and thanks again for watching, sir. All right, guys. We talked about defense, special teams. We talked about the offense. Let's talk coaching, because this has been a very hot topic for the past few weeks with the Auburn family. Let's give you some miscellaneous stats that can be attributed to coaching. Penalties. Auburn led the way with 10 penalties for 60 yards. There were actually more penalties than that, but of course they were refused because they were like on third downs. 10 first downs total. We were 5 of 17 on third down conversions. Of course, the fourth down, we went for it on the punt fake, or the fake for punt. Red zone, we did convert 1 of 1 field goal kicking. Time of possession was skewed in favor of Georgia. It was actually pretty close through halftime, but of course, second half was a different story. 24 minutes, 31 seconds. Thoughts on coaching? As you alluded to, Ike, we talked about the fact that I will say this. I wasn't mad at the game plan, because we knew that you're going to have to give Robbie Ashford some quick throws in this game. You got to get him settled down. You got to get him comfortable. The problem with that is that when it becomes 2nd and 15, 1st and 15, 3rd and long, short passes aren't going to get the job done.
Right.
You're basically eliminating the game plan, because now he needs chunk plays. So I understand, and a lot of people asked about RPO, and I started thinking about that. Ed Darby actually mentioned it in the comments. He's our only QB that can run our offense, given the personnel and the issues we have up front. RPO stands, the first letter in RPO is R. That means run. We don't want this guy to get banged up to where we don't have any quarterback we can put back there. So I understand why you don't want to run a lot of RPO with our only option at quarterback. That wouldn't be wise in the long run, especially against a physical team like Georgia. I wasn't mad with the game plan. Now, again, one of the things that has been argued with Harsin and the coaching staff, guys, and you can talk about it, I'll defer to y'all and get y'all opinions about it, has been the continuous decisions as it pertains to trick plays, being aggressive. You know, what I was thinking about is, we criticize Lane Kiffin for being aggressive. But Lane is aggressive because he has a lot of confidence in a high-scoring offense. Even if he makes a decision and puts his team in a hole, he has confidence in his offense to dig himself out of it. Auburn does not have that confidence in its offense. So when you choose to be aggressive and it goes bad, how confident that your offense that's struggling to find points can dig itself out of a hole? You can't depend on the defense to get points week in and week out, so your offense has to do it. I think that's why I hated that decision so much, is you put yourself in a hole with that, and all of a sudden you're asking the offense to do the impossible, given its issues. Your thoughts on that, gentlemen, in terms of coaching?
Yeah, I mean, I think the reason why he takes those chances is because he's trying to extend drives. He's trying to figure out a way. They're trying to manufacture yardage and points some kind of way, because doing normal stuff isn't working. So I've got to figure out a way to conjure up points or yardage by doing something fancy. And people keep saying we're getting too cute. We can't do it ugly either. Everything's ugly. So we got to get cute some kind of, like, what else? My question is, what do you want him to do, bro? Like, I got to do misdirection cute stuff when the regular stuff ain't working, because nobody's blocking it. If they're not blocking, like, our only prayer, and I said this at the beginning, the only prayer that we have right now is the defense starts to force turnovers. That's it, because the offense ain't giving it to you. So your defense has to force turnovers and put you on short fields, and then maybe we can field goal our way to a victory, because apparently forcing the turnover in plus yardage isn't enough to get touchdowns. But again, it is Georgia, so I have to take that with a grain. And that's another thing. there's literally nobody who thought we were going to win this game. Everybody
No.
thought we were going to lose this
Right.
game. So being
Right.
upset that we lost to a team that everybody thought we were going to get obliterated by is a bit of an overreaction. Like, it looked terrible and it was awful to experience as a fan, and you never really want to. This is actually one of the biggest issues I had previous to Coach Harsin was I don't mind losing to teams you're supposed to lose to. I hate getting destroyed by teams you're supposed to lose to. I want to look like a competent team out there who was fighting to put something on the field that gave you hope as a fan that, okay, we can go forward on teams that we're evenly matched. If we can put this kind of effort on the field, we can go out here and we can win the football game against teams we're evenly matched against. But I haven't seen that yet at all this season. I've seen us struggle in literally every game so far. There hasn't been a game we haven't struggled in.
Yeah.
So again, you gotta get cute when you can't just do the regular stuff right.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're conceding that your defense is just going to be right back there on the field again, because we're going to punt the ball and they're going to get a stop, and then we're going to give the ball right back, whether it's a turnover or we don't get enough first downs, and we're just going to do this back and forth the whole game. So again, this does not, please hear me when you take sound bites of what I'm saying right now. None of what I just said means I thought we should have gone for it on that fourth down. None of it.
No, you know how Twitter is. You endorsed it. We should have went for it.
None of what I said means that I think that that's a good idea. I'm just saying I don't know what you do when you can't move the ball but get cute. I don't know.
Right.
Because had we tried some quick stuff, you got to be able to not false start. Had we tried to, let's give the ball to Jarquez because he's the only one. You got to be able to block people.
Yeah.
Like, Robbie's got to hold on to the football. Like, I don't know. I don't know what you do. Maybe somebody thinks that you sprinkle Lane Kiffin dust on offenses and they magically start blocking.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. B, coaching.
I saw we do this, and other people do this when they're talking about penalties as well, but it's kind of like this general connection or that's made between the quality of the coaching and the penalties that his team makes. I thought it was pretty clear that the number of penalties that were being committed by the offensive line in their first road game of the season, and an offensive line that isn't even good to begin with, that is clearly the reason that we had so many penalties yesterday. There are certain things that you cannot compensate for. And I think that's where we're starting to get to is, why didn't the coach make them not jump, make them stand up and block somebody, make them not hit the ball? How much can coaching fix? How much should coaching be expected to fix? I don't think you can fix extremely poor play with coaching. Now, coaching can fix personnel. And that's where you can say, well, we got nobody in here in the offseason on the offensive line. Well, okay. I'm not even disagreeing with you. No additions on the offensive line makes this situation worse. You had two people leave, one for the draft and one to another team, and you got nobody new in.
And Broham and Manning went to Kentucky.
Well, one of them went to Kentucky.
Yeah, Manning went to Kentucky. Broham went to the draft.
Yeah.
Right. So what you should have had was a lot of experience, fourth and fifth year seniors. And what you also should have had was at least a mental advantage that came along with that experience. Because of the injuries that we've suffered, I think probably the most snaps that we had on the offensive line was Brahms. He's gone. Tate Johnson was brand new, but physically he was supposedly holding up in practice, learning the position. He's gone. Council's got a lot of snaps. That's why he's at center. The people who came in to fill in, Alex Jackson, getting passed by. How many snaps does he have career? How many career snaps does Troxel have at right tackle? We are, say it again, we're scraping the bottom of the barrel. Do coaches fix bad O-line play? I've watched a lot of NFL football, and if everybody, I'm assuming that most people watch the NFL. We have seen teams absolutely be just sinking because of a terrible offensive line for years. The Houston Texans started. I know y'all know this. Derek Carr is playing for the Raiders. His brother David Carr was the first quarterback for the Texans when they were expansion team, and everybody would tell you that he was the best quarterback in the family, except the offensive line was so poor on that expansion team that they hit him so much that he basically got stage fright as a quarterback. And he did not play anymore after he left that team. It's not like he was even like a backup in the league. He just had like permanent yips from getting beat up at the offensive line. And the Houston Texans were terrible up until maybe when Watson got there. They kind of turned the corner. They were okay a couple years, but you can't coach around an offensive line as easily as people think we are. Oh, it's coaching. The guys are bad. What do you want me to tell you? All right. If you got a car that breaks down every other week, why didn't you get here on time? A car broke down. Well, you got to fix it. Yeah, man, I need money. This is not the same conversation we have. You want me to go in my garage and pop the hood and just be the better man? Talk my car into being better? It don't work like that. It just doesn't. So we are in this situation.
You got to slam your phone down and get mad at the car because that's what makes it drive better, actually.
Oh, he's not showing any emotion on the sidelines. What are you supposed to do? Rah the team into blocking dudes? Is that how it works? Is that really? Does that get anything done? See, you an engineer. I don't know, man. You tell me. Does your boss go, dang it, we didn't get this, and then code start writing itself? Is that how it works? Can you anger players into being better? Can you anger experience into your offensive line? Can you get mad and all of a sudden your offensive line's first step on the tackles it's like twice as fast and their awareness goes up? I don't know what people expect. If you wanted to knock Brian Harsin for not getting more offensive line talent in here, then I agree. That's fair. He made a gamble that says, I'm going to take what's here and we can make it better. He lost that bet. Some of it's due to injury. It is. But injuries are a part of this game. So when you saw that you have a lot of bodies on the offensive line, but very little usable experience and talent, then you have to deepen it. We did that at wide receiver. We said, okay, we got a little talent, but we need to get more. We probably got too much talent at wide receiver. Honestly, we have some guys who we think can play who haven't seen the field that much. I think Corey Moore, I want to see more Malcolm Johnson, Malcolm Johnson Jr. I want to see more Camden Brown, Omari Kelly. We probably don't. Javarius Johnson is just killing it, and he's eating up the snaps for Czech Dawson. And we heard Czech Dawson was going to break out this year. But how you going to break out when the dude in front of you was balling like this? So we're over-talented at wide receiver, so I know that they understand I need to deepen this position. We got, I don't want to say over-talented at quarterback, but we ensured that we were going to have bodies back there. So they did it at quarterback. They did it at wide receiver. They kind of sort of did it in the secondary. Rhyme is starting to get some snaps back there after not getting a lot early in the season. So they understand that I have to be over-prepared at all these positions. Offensive line was the one place they did not do it. And I don't know how much of that is who we've been at offensive line for the last 8-9 years, or is Auburn as an attractive spot. I talk about this all the time. Your school, what positions come there? What are you known for? If you wanted to hang the personnel at offensive line on Brian Harsin, you absolutely could. And I'm not mad at anybody for doing that. What he has now, though, is a terrible offensive line. If you are telling me that there's a way to coach a terrible offensive line into not being terrible, give me one example where you have seen that happen. One example where a terrible offensive line just changed its head coach or offensive line coach, and all of a sudden, a bottom of the barrel league for the league that they play in, all of a sudden they went to top 3. Now, you can tell me that the offense can look better in certain situations. Joe Burrow's still getting tattooed daily every time he goes out there, and he's getting beat up a lot, and he's probably going to get injured more because of that. And people were just maligning early in the season. Man, this line's terrible. There was a great NFL Live piece that I retweeted from the War Rapport account. It was a conversation between Dan Orlovsky, Marcus
about why
Spears,
you go from under center,
Ryan Clark, and Mina Kimes talking about This is why you go from under center. And the team that had started utilizing it more from the start of the season to game 4 was the Cincinnati Bengals. And the reason they did it was because when you turn your back to hand that off, the defense doesn't know if they are going to attack the run or if they're going to have to play the pass. So it freezes them. The reason that the shotgun is easier to defend is I as soon as that ball gets snapped, you kind of have to start making the decision quick, and I can just attack. I don't have to guess. But there are seconds that go by when you're running under center and the quarterback turns his back that I don't know what I'm doing. And it creates just enough hesitation for the defense to have to play everything for just a little while. Is that an option here? I don't know. I know that's what Harsin wanted to run. And maybe that's why a lot of old school coaches still want to run a pro style offense, because it gives you advantages if you aren't great at some things. I don't think that we're good enough on the offensive line to succeed at that either. I don't.
Yeah, the thing that they didn't mention in that is you got to actually be successful at running the ball a little bit, though.
Right.
You don't have to be great at it, but you need to be able to get 4 and 5 yards running.
That's
and
our
make people
problem.
say, "All right," because that's the only way you keep a team out of 3rd and short, right? Because if I can turn around and I can hand the ball off and get 3 to 4 yards every time, then I'm in 3rd and short, and now I become more dangerous. That play action does you no good if they don't fear your ability to run the ball. None.
Right.
None whatsoever. And that's why you have to start. That's why the remedy for this team is spread it out more, get less people in the box, get the ball out on the perimeter more to your playmakers. Because if you try to do anything in here, the offensive line is guaranteeing you that's not going to be successful.
Right.
And so I understand philosophically why Coach Harsin wants to run the offense that he wants to run. He doesn't have the horses to do it.
Right. Right.
We just plain and simple, the offensive line limits your ability to call plays. And now you have to get gimmicky. You have to turn into a team that uses misdirection, and you have to use space, and you have to use other things that allow you to be a little bit more successful. You got to use pace and space. That's what pace and space is for. It's for we can't block nobody.
It neutralizes that. Yeah.
We can't block nobody. We have to use pace and space. But the problem is you can't pivot on a dime to pace and space when all offseason you've been practicing big boy ball.
Right.
So it's not that nobody understands the principle of this. It's, can you do it proficiently enough in order for it to work based upon what your players know how to do? I don't know the answer to that second portion.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Guys, let's get into another segment. Let's talk about what else we saw. What did we see?
What did we see?
Who wants to go first?
You know, I'll go first.
I wonder if B. Will wants to grab this one first. But go ahead.
Because I don't really have anything that I saw that was a surprise to me. You know, we saw that a lack of experience for several teams, just one guy being changed out, and teams look worse than they should have looked. So we that's partially what's going on at Auburn. But, you know, we saw more of the same. We saw more of the same from Auburn. We saw more of the same from these other teams. I think we have a good idea who everybody is, between who's good, who's bad, who's in between. We know where our season lies, who we can compete with when they come see us. But I don't think there's too much more to just figure out about Auburn. So you know what I'm doing? I'm hating. I am hating so hard for the rest of this season. My energy will be channeled into making sure that Jimbo Fisher loses as many games as possible. I want Auburn to win at least 6 games, and I also
is that how
Jimbo.
losses are accumulated? Spirit bomb energy.
That's how I will other people to lose. I don't know how y'all get to, you know, it might be voodoo, it might whatever you need for it to happen, but I am channeling my energy into a 6-6 Jimbo Fisher Texas A&M season. I would love for this to be the worst season that they've had since before Kevin Sumlin was there. That would just make my heart happy. That would feel great for all the hand wringing we're doing about how bad Auburn is this year and how it can be the worst team we've had since 2012. What if right next to us on that terrible SEC sofa was Jimbo Fisher and A&M? They right there, all that 5-star talent, you know, all them guys, they so good. Oh man, they got the best. Why don't we have the offensive line? They right there with us, the biggest payroll in college football, and they could be equally as bad. We could beat them.
Go to the portal, offensive lineman. Right. Hopefully, some of them Texas
Go to the
A&M
portal.
offensive linemen are like, man,
You can
I could have
play at
taken
Auburn.
less of a paycheck and be starting right now. Come on.
So I am hating is what I'm doing this season. Mostly Jimbo, you know, a little bit Spencer Rattler, but he's kind of taking care of that already for me. They won yesterday against Kentucky. A mediocre offense with swapped out no
Who's
Will
Spencer
Levis.
Rattler?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
Oh.
Who is he? See, you know who he is, a quarterback of South Carolina. I don't know him by any other name. So I'm hating is what I'm doing this year.
Spencer Rattler by any other name would be just as weak.
I hope y'all can join in and help me hate other teams. We will see Auburn play poorly again, I'm sure, this season. But what I want you all to know is that if you hate other teams as hard as Auburn lets you down, you win. So let's do that together. Let's hate. Thank you.
That was one of the best ones you've ever done, because that was a word for me on a Sunday. I'm gonna start hating. I'm gonna be
Start hating. See, it makes you
Yeah.
feel better. You know, Alabama fans, like we beat them with Cam, and all they had was, oh, it's gonna get called back after they investigate. You hating because you feel terrible. I understand. Of course, that national championship stood and was going to stand. All the kick six was luck and it was cheating. It don't matter. You ain't going to the national championship. All that hating, it helped them though. It helped them cope. And now I will hate to help me cope with a very disappointing Auburn season.
I like it.
For people who are saying, why don't we try this quarterback? Why don't we try that quarterback? Why don't we try this quarterback? Changing out your QB does not help your offense. Kind of hurts it a little bit in many respects. Now, I know there's been examples where a QB has come off the bench and has won. Alabama did in the national championship game, but Bama has 5 stars on 5 stars on 5 stars. I mean, you can say that there. We saw Kentucky lose to South Carolina and B. Will's boy. That shouldn't have happened. But a guy who many people feel is a number 1 draft pick wasn't in the offense, and we saw what happened when they went to another QB. Alabama has a talented QB as a backup, and we all agreed last week that they was going to, as Mike G put it, booty blast Texas A&M. Didn't happen.
Oh,
It did.
My point is, more times often than not, when you go to a different QB, it doesn't work out for whatever reason, at least not in the interim. Now, does that quarterback get better as time goes on? Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. But the point I'm making here is it usually doesn't start off amazing because that QB is adjusting to the speed of the game. The players around that QB is adjusting to how that QB throws the ball, his understanding of the offense, how much of the offense you could run because the QB may not have a lot of experience. QB may be young. I know I hear a lot of people on social media, Twitter, we need to try this quarterback. Try this quarterback. There's a reason why that QB is the backup. There's a reason. If he was the guy,
I ain't gonna lie. We learned that with the Bo Nix situation, bro.
Yeah.
Bo was the best option we had to try it out there.
There's
Yeah,
a
he
reason.
That was sad, and
That's
it's
a
sad right
reason.
now.
That's a reason those guys are the backup. There is a reason. Very few times do the backup quarterback comes in and actually bails the team out. And usually that guy is gifted, very talented. Otherwise, you see what happened with Kentucky. Bama barely edged it out at home. And we see what's happening even with our team at Auburn, with Ashford. Ashford is a clear number 2, and Harsin alluded to that in the offseason with Finley because of his understanding of the offense.
Right.
The offense they wanted to run.
Right.
So we understand that. And as Ike alluded earlier, even with Ashford is still learning the game. He's still learning how to play football at this level. So there's some things that has to be coached out of him. So for people yelling, we need to change out the QB, change out this QB. Okay. just know that with a new quarterback comes a whole new set of problems. There's a reason they were the backup. I yield the rest of my time to Ike.
Oh, yeah.
What you got, Ike?
I want to talk about prime time is swag, baby. Who's swag if I ain't swag? If I ain't swag, who is swag? If I ain't swag, who is swag? Boy, him and Eddie Robinson Jr., bruh. That post game, I thought there was going to be more fireworks in the post game handshake between Saban and Jimbo. Oh, no, sir. No, sir.
They old, you know what I'm saying? They weren't gonna fight.
But they had so much beef before this. Like, you didn't hear a back and forth between Deion Sanders and Eddie Robinson Jr. before the season.
Yeah.
Jackson State went down there and put them ha-has on them boys at home. Eddie. Your boy went to that halftime handshake and was like, get off me.
What did he say, Phil? What did he say, Phil? We ain't friends.
Bro. That was the best post-game handshake since Jim Harbaugh and
Stanford. And Pete Carroll.
No. I'm talking about the one in the NFL with the Lions head coach. Him and the Lions head coach had a situation when he was at San Francisco.
Oh, okay.
Yo. And then the post games, they were still firing shots.
It was great.
He was like, I hope you don't go to a Power 5 school next year, and we play you next year. You put us on the schedule. I was like, yo, what is going on? They are mad.
Eddie is petty. I like it.
I have never seen two coaches get to that point of like disdain for like they was mad. Like, not no, I got caught up in the moment. Everything's cool. Nah, man, Deion was in the post-game pressure with his shades on. Who ain't swag if I ain't swag? How is Deion not swag? Who ain't swag? If I ain't swag, he said it like 10 times, bro. I was like, this man is mad. Eddie Robinson in the post-game, like, I hope you come back so I can whoop you next year. Bro, you just got tattooed. Calm down, sir. It wasn't close. I think he's mad because he thought he was running the score up, right? He's right. Like, I think he gave props to Shador. He said, hey, I think he's a Heisman caliber quarterback. It was their homecoming too.
Yeah.
It was Alabama State's homecoming, bro. They had everybody back in town, man.
That was a mistake.
Oh, Jesus. It was bad. But that I got a lot of joy out of watching that post-game situation unfold between those two coaches. They have now contrived a rivalry out of that. So if Deion stays in the SWAC and Jackson State and Alabama State have to continue to play one another, that's going to be primetime television for years to come between them two, unless Jackson State keeps sandblasting, or as Mike G would say, booty blasting Alabama State. Then one of them coaches is going to be gone. Right, either Deion moves on to a bigger job or Eddie Robinson gets fired. But his feelings was hurt. He was real hurt. He thought they were going to go out there and compete, and it didn't happen. And he did not appreciate it. And the energy in the post game was comedy. It was absolute comedy, man. And I'm probably going to go watch both of those clips again at some point in time in the next couple of days, just to cheer me up.
Hey, Ike, can I ask you a question? Maybe you don't feel this way, but do you think it's hilarious when people who are upset refer to themselves in third person?
It is. Yeah. Yeah.
What do you mean Deion ain't swag?
I love it. He was so offended. He was like, "What? I
love it.
What? I ain't swag. Who swag if I ain't swag? Who swag if I ain't swag?" He was so offended at the
audacity.
Like how dare you? If ain't nobody swag, it's me. I embody swag. Ain't no swag without me. Deion was offended He was offended, man. Oh man, it was good. It was good though. I definitely enjoyed seeing that, man. That brought a little bit of joy to my afternoon after having to be in person and witness what we had to go through. But yeah, that was cool.
Dion said, Prime said we sold out their home.
He's not lying. No, that's what's crazy. He's not lying. Alabama State don't sell out games, dog. You couldn't find a ticket to that game. You could not find a ticket to that game, bro.
Oh man. Oh man.
It was good stuff.
Hilarious. All right, guys. I think that's it for now. I will be hating on everybody the rest of this season because I am coping like you. So if you want to cope watching film review and you're not yet a patron, do we have a super chat here? Oh yeah, we do have some comments we need to get to. Jamal Pye here. If this Auburn team with the same coaching staff was at Boise, would they be successful?
If you're not gonna block anybody, I don't think it matters. I mean, the defense probably dominates that conference
for sure.
But if you're not gonna block anybody, I don't know what conference you can play good in. Doesn't matter.
Right.
Yeah. I do see some comments here. I'm gonna grab some of these before we get out of here. Daniel Owen says, "Is keeping Harsin until the end of the season with the writing on the wall that he is going to take an entire recruiting year?"
I don't think so, and the only reason I don't think so is because a good onus of recruiting still is on the shoulders of the university, the place that you're sending them, the players that are already there. What are they telling them when they get on campus? Hey man, don't worry about coming here, bro. I'm not saying that has absolutely happened recently, but I know that has happened in history. If the players are there and they are happy with where they're at recently, players just leave if they're not happy. But the reason I don't think it hurts is because it's pretty evident that there's going to be a major change of some sort, and what you can do as a staff is rough because the people who would be leaving if Brian Harsin got fired, they no longer have an incentive to recruit for this school or this university unless they are critical to the image and the legacy of this university, i.e. Zach Etheridge, a national championship winner here, Cadillac, one of the best running backs we've ever had here, and Coach Brumbaugh on the defensive line. We've got guys who are Auburn guys who have a reason to get out there and sell and keep selling, because there's a very good chance, at the very least, Cadillac and Zach Etheridge would be retained here, no matter who took over, because they are excellent recruiters at their position. And from running back and secondary, those are the two best position groups on this team as far as how they play. So you have a reason to believe that those guys would stay, that they would keep recruiting, and that they can get out on the trail right now and keep selling the university. And even if it's dicey. Do you get out there and say, "Hey, man"?
The problem is the offensive line,
right? And that's what I was getting ready to get to is, they aren't the guys recruiting the people that we need the most.
Right.
I don't think you lose a year because right now the staff that's there hasn't shown well enough for you to want to keep recruiting. Do you want Will Friend to keep talking to offensive line prospect to come here based on what has happened so far? Probably not. So I think the best thing that you can pitch right now, if you're Auburn, is things are going to be different and you're going to be a part of the rebuilding process. So get ready, because we'll call you. As soon as the changes happen, you'll know, and we're going to be ready to go. And hope that change, whatever or whoever it is, gets people on board with the next chapter. I don't think Harsin being there, because if everybody wants to fire Harsin midseason, which I don't think is a good idea, okay, so who's behind him? Does anybody left on the staff who's the interim or underneath him? What are they going to tell a recruit? They don't know if they're going to be here at the end of the year. It's like you still have the same problem. Whether Harsin, if you think Harsin's a dead man walking, nobody underneath him is guaranteed to be here either. So,
and that was my whole point. Like everybody, right. Like I get that there are people who have done well, but if we truly want the new head coach to have autonomy, you can't say to him, yeah, you can come coach here, but you got to take my guys to be on your staff.
Right.
You can't do that. Now,
Right.
they should have an opportunity to interview for the job because they're good. But
Right.
like, you can't make somebody, because what if they recruit the kind of athletes that don't fit your system?
Right.
So you can't keep them, regardless of how talented those people are. Some people have systems that they like to run. They like to have continuity with their staffs.
Right.
I know this is Auburn and you like certain guys. We thought the same thing about T. Will. He is not coaching here.
Right.
Oh, you got to keep T. Will. Apparently we didn't.
Yeah.
Whether it was a good decision or not, T. Will isn't coaching here.
Yeah.
So like, you don't guarantee that just because you want it really badly and they're Auburn guys.
Yeah,
That's
you
not how
can't.
it works. Not
You
if you're going to
can't- you
give
can't have
autonomy
it.
to the coach.
You can't have it. To your point, you can't have it both ways, right?
No.
You want the coach to not be interfered with, but then you want to dictate who he hires. So you can't have it both ways in that regard, for sure.
Yeah.
Ed Darby says, for real, do we beat any SEC teams left on the schedule? I know Arkansas is not great, but they have an identity and can score 20 points. We can't score more than 17. Do we realistically think that we can beat Arkansas? I say yes, because it's at home. I like our chances at home. If it was on the road, I'd probably feel a little differently. But at home, I like our chances.
Their defense.
I mean, if our offensive line doesn't play any better, we don't win any more games. That's the bottom line of all of that.
Yeah.
You have to play better offensively, and it starts with the offensive line. Can we beat them? Sure. If we play first half LSU good on offense, we can beat anybody. But I haven't seen it for 4 quarters yet, so I don't know I don't know the answer to this, because to your point about Arkansas, they have an identity. Their identity happens to be running the ball a bunch.
We're good against the run.
We are, but at
early
some
on.
point in time, your offense has to try to score some points.
And the benefit of playing in Arkansas is that their defense is bad, but their secondary is bad. It's very bad. You can pass on them. So a lot of the things that we did against LSU early to get some guys wide open, it could work. I think our script would work much better against Arkansas than it has against any other opponent that we've had so far, because we could probably keep them out of position, because they're the type of defense that would get behind the 8 ball. They see too much. They start guessing, and we know what type of problem that can create for a defense. So we can beat Arkansas. Arkansas is winnable at home. I still think Texas A&M is winnable at home, because they almost beat Bama, but they beat Bama last year and they were still a very mediocre team. Jimbo's not going to have his guys play up to a standard every week. They're going to drop something that they have no business dropping, and I would love to be the one of the games that they drop, because I'm a hater.
Harvey McCreary says, I got one question. Why was Derek Hall, Cam Riley, and Papo on punt coverage? We wonder why our defense gets tired.
So this is actually a question I've been asking. This predates Harsin, of why. I get that they're the best athletes, but like Jarquez Hunter is another one. Like, why is he on punt coverage?
For sure.
Like, why? Like, I just don't get. Like, do the guys who are further down on the bench, they can't be specialists? Like, I don't understand that. I don't understand not at least giving an opportunity to some of these other people to contribute to your game. And to your point, Harvey, keep these other guys from having to play additional snaps, regardless of how committed they are to helping you win and all that. And even if they are the best people at that, like, I think you need to give those guys' bodies a break and let somebody else get out there and do that job. I think so. But again, what do I know? I'm not out there when they're doing punt coverage and kick coverage, and I don't see how many tackles are getting missed by Eugene Asante and Joko Willis in kick coverage. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know why Joko Willis isn't out there. We've seen him make plays on special teams in games. Jim says Georgia has made a lot of teams look that bad. Oregon offense looked horrible against Georgia, but look great now.
Yeah, I mean, Georgia's got a good team. Again, we had a very slim chance of winning that game. You just hoped that we would play better. We did score more points than. Never mind, that's me being petty. My bad.
I'm here for it. We're haters, remember? Harvey McCreary says, the question is, do you believe this coaching staff can flip the talent on the roster?
I'm shaking my head no, but I am specifically talking about offensive line. Again, I'm going to say this again because we have talent. Well, there's two position groups that I think we just are absolutely lacking talent at right now, or we're not showing any talent. It's offensive line and linebacker. And we've got to figure out how to be better in those two rooms. I think we've got tons of wide receiver talent. I don't think we have tons of quarterback talent, but I think that we should have had enough with a good offensive line to be able to put points up. We've got the running back room. The tight end room has been underwhelming for me, but I don't know that that is going to be a make or break for your team other than being able to block well. Defensive line, I don't have an issue with them. Cornerbacks, DBs, safeties, don't have an issue with them. Offensive line, linebackers. Do we have the ability to flip those two rooms? Linebacker to be determined. The guy hasn't been here long enough. Offensive line, Wilfred, I'd like a word.
Yeah.
Well said. I tell the people what they can do if they want to see. They want to become a patron. Let's just leave it at that. They want to become a patron. How do they become one, sir?
You just need to click that join button, click right there below the video. There is a join button, or you can go to the homepage of our YouTube and click join. Decide which of these two ways you would like to support us monthly. Look at it as a way to support us. I know some people show up here just to debate with us, and you're like, I wonder what stupid thing they're going to say next that I can disagree with. But hey, I'd appreciate if you put a little money where your mouth is. If you just want to debate with me while you're paying me. Whatever. Anyway, but yeah, so $5.99 per month gets you to the patron level. We are going to watch the film, or at least I am. I don't know how many of y'all are going to after I post the video, but definitely going to rewatch the game and see what things we can improve there. $5.99 per month allows you to do that. You need to be a member to get in on the halftime and post-game chats with us. If you are a member and you want to gift someone else a membership, you can do that by clicking the little button down there in the live chat on videos. You have the ability to gift memberships to others. They will get 1 month free membership on you to be a part of the War Rapport family. If you didn't get an opportunity to get in on the giveaway today, you can go ahead and hit our merch store. That is the warreport.com. We've got articles and such that are there on that website now as well. We are going to start dropping more basketball content on there coming up as we get closer to the season for that. But you can also hit up our merch store and support in that way, purchasing some War Rapport merchandise. Outside of that, we are the Auburn Express, powered by the War Rapport, on every platform in which you can get podcasts. So go and check out audio formats of the conversations that we're having here on the Weekend Tailgate and the Midweek Rapport, as well as some audio-only content that you can only get on your podcasting platforms, and we appreciate that support as well.
Before you get out of here, guys, if you're on social media, that is Facebook, Twitter, share this video, use the hashtag, and help people to find our content. Be sure to smash the like button. And if you're new to our channel, we would love for you to hit subscribe so that you can become a part of our YouTube community. Also, if you want to interact with us on Instagram, Twitter, even Facebook, you can find us at The War Rapport. We are TW Rapport on TikTok. That's it for now, guys. We have film review tomorrow, as well as our midweek report coming up on Wednesday. You can definitely catch us on podcasts throughout the week. Definitely enjoy the rest of your weekend. And until then, and as always, War Eagle.
War Eagle.